New York, Philadelphia, around the world, it's gonna be a big nut bust.
The Millennial Media Offensive podcast is now live.
That's right, it's April 14th, 2026. You're listening to MMO number 214. And from the great city and state of St. Louis, Missouri.
Or maybe it hasn't been long enough. I don't know. We'll see.
I had a stomach bug. I think I picked it up on Easter and was paying for it on Monday with my keister.
In the grass.
That's right. Do you think there's any PFAS in those little plastic Easter eggs?
Oh, yeah, I think that's what they're turnings of civilization and forgotten civilizations. Religion today is going to be highly toxic pockets of air 3 miles beneath the Earth's surface. And I think it was tied to some...
So I saw that meme. I thought...
I have a clip. Hold on, I have a clip. Yes, it's very good. It's a very funny sequence. This is in the Trump folder, obviously, in my time on it. So I have a few check-ins that we'll do tonight. And, you know, we consider ourselves media doctors here. So we're going to take the...
Bringing you democracy unfiltered.
Okay.
President Trump spoke to reporters outside the Oval Office after having McDonald's deliveries, including the ongoing conflict with Iran, and a recent Truth Social post depicting himself as Jesus, which he denies, saying he thought it depicted him as a doctor.
You know,
that entire sequence from Democracy Unfiltered until the end is yes, I did.
I have the entire kind of interaction, and he's like in league with what Joe Biden would do. Is what I thought when I was watching it. I go, this is not the media savvy Trump that the whole McDonald's and ordering, baby. That's what you get. Yeah, just listen.
McDonald's.
The refund was the biggest you've ever had. Is that a correct statement?
It definitely was. Yeah.
Yes, it's very hard to hear. And that was in addition to it. It's like, I think it's horseshit, but the whole, I think he realizes that he's lost to gain it back.
Well, this reeks of needing a new angle to tout our economy. But you didn't even hear about the no tax on tips really with one big beautiful bill. You just heard about one big beautiful bill and everything in it. Not in very specific. This, I think somebody said, hey, we gotta freshen things up. We gotta do something new. And then I love that he keeps to her and he says, do you think men should be able to compete in women's sports? And very professionally, she declines to comment, which I didn't think she would do. I saw this that I could get out of her, and she was very professional. I have an ABC, specifically, since we're talking about the Jesus and Trump and that kind of thing. Only Trump and his depiction as Jesus, but also his relation with the Pope, which I'm sure you have thoughts on.
Not really, but I'll play it.
This morning, many of the president's supporters furious, calling this picture that Trump posted appearing to depict him as a doctor.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depiction. It was me. I
recognize that a lot of people weren't understanding his humor.
It comes as the president is bashing the Pope.
He was very much against what I'm doing with regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result.
The first American pope has been outspoken against the war in Iran, calling Trump's threat to wipe out a whole civilization truly unacceptable.
Of the hatred, the division, the destruction that the human being is capable of.
Trump firing back, calling the Pope weak on crime and
the Pope's weak on crime.
I love the idea that the Pope is weak on crime.
That is pretty funny. He's low energy Leo.
Have you seen the Holy See? It's a mess.
Crime and terrible for foreign policy. Back, calling the Pope weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy, adding, I don't want a Pope who...
Yeah, I don't really, what's funny to me is, so for much of my life, we had the previous guy, I forget his name, well liked by a lot of Catholics. So we didn't really have a strong Catholic leadership. And then there was optimism with Leo. He was saying a lot of has on the Catholic people. Respect or direction you give yours, just kind of like treat it like an elected official. You're like, okay, whatever, dude, I disagree with you. So, more or less, and you can roll your eyes at it or not, but.
Well, you know what this Sunday is going to be?
What's this Sunday going to be?
This Sunday of the massacre at Waco.
33rd, huh? It's magic. That means that means Ruby Ridge is right around the corner, or did it 92 August of 92?
Third anniversary of Waco. Significance to the people involved.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Well, you can figure it out.
Evil.
That's not. Well, it's 1 1/3. It's not.
2. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Come on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
This is like the second time we've done math, and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a movie with what's his name? The
Jim
Mask.
Carrey.
Jim Carrey, 23. I watched it years after it came out.
It's interesting. Didn't quite know how to wrap it up, and the writers' room probably couldn't agree on how to wrap it up. But they play on the idea of the prevalence of conspiracy theories in modern culture. So the ending sequence has this guy's podcast doing a of the Running Man show ended. And then you seemingly get this post-mortem conspiracy. So it's very disjointed at the end. And maybe they thought they were being clever, playing into the conspiracy idea and then making the story disjointed at the end and confusing. But the biggest change in the newest Running Man, in the oldest Running Man, it was the people trying actors on the show and hitmen, basically. So in the new one, you have to survive 30 days or something with the entire country trying to Running Man production. But it then turns into a play on how the surveillance control the show even out in the wild, which I thought was interesting. There's a bit of new tech that was revealed in this, really interesting. But they're able to go off the 10% figure. But if you owe the $1,000, they're able to go off the 10% figure. But if you owe the $1,000 threshold with what we owed, what I was the threshold with what we owed, and the state tax penalty that we had to pay was like $2. So we hit the nail on the head, and owning the money to the federal government and then paying it back to you interest free. So if you can, what you want to do is fall right within that $1,000 threshold, not owe any penalty, file on time so you don't owe late fees, and you never lend to the federal government any of your money at no interest. Which I know it's and we had a disagreement about this when I first started talking about it. And I only talk about it once a year. So it's the only time you'll have to hear it. And if we had 1 year more than already do, so it's the only time you'll have to hear it. And if we had 1 year more than already do, let's move on. So I think we might as well go ahead. I thought that was funny. It's a little. So there is a little.
How you doing this, man? I thought you was Iraq. I feel like you guys keep trying to. How you doing this, man? I thought you was Iraq. I feel like you guys keep trying to distract people with Iraq when I'm focusing on other things, namely the moon. Yes, I said it. Focus on space, nigga. The United A.R.
That wasn't even clear to me until I saw the 10-day mission layout where they're just going to circle it and come back. I go,
yeah. And someone's name on it, held up in front of the camera at the moon. And someone's name on it, held up in front of the camera at the moon. Okay, that's what we need.
I forced.
Okay, that's what we need.
I forced Elise's aunt to Google something on Easter because I was like, hey, you remember that one scene of Lance Armstrong? No, Neil Armstrong hopping out of the shuttle and hopping on the ground and being the first man. Neil Armstrong hopping out of the shuttle and hopping on the ground and being the first man to walk on the moon. Not believe that we have Earth, but it turns out if indeed they were
on, I don't know, some mainstream media.
Clearly on the offensive.
On the offensive.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes, clearly on the offensive.
Clearly, you are here on the offensive.
Yes, clearly you are. Hello, clearly. Okay, well, I have another check-in for us, and I don't know where you wanted to take this or how you wanted to steer this segment, but I'll at least do this check-in, and then I have one clip about the blockade, and then the rest of mine will be toward the end of the Iran segment to steer us into another segment.
Okay.
So the check-in is from CNBC, and this was before the ceasefire to catch everyone up.
This deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk?
Yeah, an entire civilization going away, is that good or bad for the 401k?
Oy vey, my 401k.
That is too funny. Yeah, the whole elimination of a civilization, everyone freaks out about it. And it's like, has Trump not been doing this the entire time he's been in the public life of saying, I'm going to blow you up? Art of the deal.
It was a bit more stark, but yes, it was the same spirit as all of his other negotiating tactics.
Right. Oh, people never learn or are purposefully ignorant.
Yeah, what pays. Okay, well, I have a clip about the blockade because after the threat to destroy an entire civilization, we did get a ceasefire, predictably. And we got the ceasefire, then Vance and Kushner.
I got a clip about Vance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it about him going to the negotiations?
It's after the 21 hours.
Okay, well, go ahead. It'll still fit in. Let's do the negotiations.
Sure.
He went to Pakistan for negotiations.
That's right.
Iranians, that's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
Sir, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
Yeah, So effectively, the talks break down after J.D. Vance went to Pakistan. He doesn't get the deal done. He then hilariously flies to Hungary to stump for Orban, and we'll talk about how that turned out a little bit. But a couple of L's
not well
chalked up for J.D. Vance this past weekend.
Yeah. I almost had the thought that
it was intentional.
They knew, well, yeah, they knew both were lost causes, so they said, you know what, JD, go get them, bud.
I have that feeling. I still have that feeling. I think that's actually the case.
Yeah.
Let's make this guy look like a dick.
Okay. Well, let's actually, I have a JD Vance clip, and it's a pretty good one about economic terrorism. I thought this was, he almost, and JD's not going to fumble. Okay, he's not going to fumble with his words. You might get clips of him screaming and screeching about someone like Elon getting more play than he gets, but you're not going to get him fumbling in public, and you can hear him get as close to fumbling as he's going to get in this Vance economic terrorism clip.
When it comes to weapons of war, what they have done is engage in this act of economic terrorism against the entire world. They basically threatened any ship that's moving through the Straits of Hormuz. Well, as the President of the United States showed, two can play at that game. And if the Iranians are going to try to engage in economic terrorism, we're going to abide by a simple principle that no Iranian ships are getting out either.
We're not going to.
We're going to do the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's not economic terrorism. It's
a principled approach.
Economic patriotism.
Right, right. But that reminded me of a throwback to George W. Bush.
Oh.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Oh, what a guy.
What a guy. Okay. So let's hear about this blockade that has developed. You may have seen the newsletter. I did do a newsletter. I typed it while turning my couch over for quarters to buy my child some shoes. I'm kidding, but it was an act of desperation, and I don't intend for it to stay that way. I would like to keep doing newsletters because this one was fun. Sometimes they're more difficult when you have to decide whether you want to talk about something extremely vague. It's a lot less intimidating than when you have material like the President of the United States posting himself as Jesus. But I hope you enjoyed the newsletter. If you got it, you can sign up by going to mmo.show/newsletter. But in the newsletter, I point out that we now have dueling blockades, where Iran had been blockading the Strait of Hormuz and certain ships, and now the U.S. has implemented a blockade. And in the newsletter, I even included the official notice to mariners from the U.S. Navy, which I think was valuable to anyone who enjoys that kind of primary source, which you don't really get anywhere else. So yeah, if you want a copy of that, just email me at john@mmo.show. And you can sign up for any future newsletters that have similar value at mmo.show/newsletter. But this is the CNN clip about the blockade.
U.S. Central Command says a naval blockade of Iranian ports in that critical Strait of Hormuz is set to come into effect right now. Remember, about 20% of the world's oil passes through this strait. The move is sending oil prices soaring and is threatening to upend global energy markets. The decision comes after peace talks between the U.S. and Iran ended in Pakistan over the weekend without a breakthrough. Iran says the move amounts to piracy and is threatening to retaliate. NATO and European allies say they don't support the blockade. They're urging for the waterway to be reopened. Let's kick off our coverage here this hour with NBC News senior international correspondent Matt Bradley, who is in Tel Aviv. Matt, the president's been to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, get oil flowing back to the countries that rely on it. Do we know why does he want to have this blockade in these ports right now, and how exactly is this going to work now that it kicks into effect?
Yeah, it's interesting because, of course, he's imposing a blockade, and the Iranians have already put a blockade, and that's the cause of this crisis. The president is trying to stop Iranian ships, which have actually been operating this entire time. So this is the intention, to choke off Iran, which has been benefiting from the fact that it's been able to sell oil on the international market. Now, the risk here is a further blockade on top of a blockade. That means that we're going to be seeing now less Iranian oil reaching the market, and oil is a global commodity. So the risk here is that the price of oil could increase even more on global markets because of those markets that would have been relying on oil, like in China or other places, like we're seeing some of these unloading in India. So this is going to be possibly a move that the president means to try to subdue Iran, but it could make matters worse for global markets.
Oh, yeah. Now that's America first. We don't care who you are. You're not getting any oil.
That's right. And all the ships are going to come to America so we can export oil that is helping to keep prices lower here.
Do it.
That is where the controlled demolition of the world economy, with America standing at the top of the hill at the end, that's where that theory falls apart. Because if you really wanted to do a controlled demolition, I don't think you'd be inviting all of these nations and importers around the world, leeches, I kid somewhat, to come and take away from the supply that we have in America. Now, maybe we need people to refine our excess crude. Maybe that's what's happening. But I can't help but think of it in simplistic terms because I'm a little simplistic myself. But if we're exporting oil and prices are already high, you're going to take away from the supply in America, which is going to make prices go higher.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think we actually use Iranian oil at all in the United States.
No, I'm not saying we do.
No, I understand what you're saying is the supply now has to be rerouted. Instead of coming from Iran, it would be exported from the United States to other people that need it, thus raising the prices in the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. Could be who can take the pain the longest.
It probably is a matter of our refineries are stocked. Like, we can't refine any more oil. We're running at 100% capacity. We need to export to some refiners around the world because we're getting a backlog.
Well,
that could be the case.
The people on that far kind of the 4D chess trust the plan people are saying that effectively this is a continuation of the war on London. One interesting aspect that is a point in their favor is the official blockade of the Strait of Hormuz started not because Iran was dropping mines in the Strait of Hormuz, but it began because Lloyd's of London pulled all the insurance for all the tankers that were going in there. And so that was probably an entire week before Iran actually laid any mines down. So that's one point where they're saying, and so you expand upon that, trust the master plan. It's we're pretty much bringing London to its knees in that scenario. But it is again pretty weak and implies that everything that we've done up to this point has been highly choreographed, which is by the day becoming less and less likely.
Yeah, but we knew Israel was going to act.
We did.
So totally choreographed there. All right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about as far as this blockade or the war in general? Because my next clip is going to take us more toward the propaganda side of things.
I do like the propaganda side. No, I just had one clip about the blockade, and it was pretty much about the strategy, not so much the threats that it would propose, that Iran could possibly attack the U.S. Navy with, and really not that interesting. So let's get into the propaganda angle.
Well, one thing I want to mention that I found interesting, I don't have a clip about it, but what I learned these last 2 weeks was that the Strait of Hormuz, and you heard Vance calling it the Straits of Hormuz. I don't know if you caught that, but there are channels in the strait, the deepest, best places for tankers to go. And there are technically no international waters in the Strait of Hormuz. You have Omani waters and Iranian waters. But according to UN charter, any strait or passageway that is used for international commerce is treated like international waters in the free passage and free transit of ships. So what you've had over the last week is this talk emerging of the ordinary channels, which are just off of the tip of Oman. The Kumzar is the last little piece you see on the tip, the northern tip extending up into the strait. You have these two channels just off of it, and I wish I had screenshot a map of this to bring to the show, but there's an inbound and outbound lane like a highway. Well, what Iran had started telling ships is that anyone using those lanes closest to Oman were at danger of being struck. And we had seen some ships be struck. But what Iran told the ships is that if they start transiting closer to the Iranian coast and on the north side of that typical Omani water passage, that the ships would be allowed through for a toll. And this is where the talk of Iran charging a toll comes in, which you may have heard about. You may have heard some things about Trump saying, you better not. But this is, it's really interesting because the embargo that the U.S. is carrying out is being carried out at the mouth of the strait. They're not in the Strait of Hormuz or even in the Persian Gulf. They're on the western side of the Gulf of Oman, sitting out basically in safe waters, doing it's just like a roadblock where if you're headed to an Iranian port or you are suspected of heading to an Iranian port, you can be basically stopped at the roadblock.
What kind of flag do you need to get through that one?
Well, it's not about flag. If certain flags do get preference, I'm sure. China. But if you're heading to an Iranian port, that's the qualification for whether or not you are subject to the embargo. Anything coming or going from Iranian ports are being stopped and embargoed.
So that would be a kind of a controlled cutoff of their economic activity.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if we're telling ships that you have to use the old Omani routes, the southernmost route around the peninsula, the Ras Al Khaimah Peninsula, which is that northern jut out into the strait. I'm wondering if we're telling ships that they have to use the old channel, or if we're allowing them to take the northern Iranian route that would keep them from being under fire by Iran.
I don't know. That would be interesting.
It's unclear. It's unclear, but I wonder what, I think this either goes, there's several ways this could go, but if things really get tight, and I think we pulled over a Chinese tanker today. If we start agitating, let's see, Chinese tanker crosses Strait of Hormuz, first tanker makes it out of Hormuz, sanctioned Chinese tanker makes U-turn in Hormuz. It is unclear, but we could see some of these embargo enforcing ships take some fire. Now, of course, it'll be a laundry fire on board and there'll be nothing to it, but we've really got a lot of assets in danger here. And if China decides, because a while back, we heard Peter Zion. You remember him, Peter Zion? Guy who's always outside walking around doing his videos in Colorado, and he's a bit of a nut, not in a wacko kind of way, but in a very New World Order type of thinking way. You know what I'm talking about, Peter Zion?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. He has said, and this is kind of the nutty thing that he says, he has said that if oil exports were shut off to China for a week, that China would deindustrialize. And if China is exposed to that kind of pressure from this embargo on Iranian ports, might get some real action. I don't think we would ever be told that it's action between the U.S. and China. I don't think China would want it to be seen that way. I think they would send weapons to Iran and tell Iran, hey, you got to do this. You got to fix this. Because, what's China got to lose? They've already basically lost their oil exports from the country. So why wouldn't you push Iran to be more belligerent?
Sure. That ship was carrying 250,000 barrels of methanol to Iran. That was turned back, pulled the U-turn. So we didn't.
And what is methanol used for? Gasoline?
I believe so.
Yeah, fuel for cars, trucks, and ships.
Yep. So it was bringing it to Iran. Probably some part of their gasoline production or oil production, I'd imagine, or something that they use it for. So interesting. I don't know about the whole week thing. That seems a little soon. I've seen a lot of reports of China having vast stores of resources available, but I imagine it does hurt them quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. So, let's talk about the propaganda side of this, because we focus on the media. We like to talk about the media. So let's start by talking about the Iranian Legos from CNN.
What's with all the Iran Lego videos?
America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole.
This is one of the latest viral videos by pro-government Iranian media outlets. A regime-aligned propaganda outfit based inside Iran called Explosive Media has really dominated the scene, creating AI-generated Lego videos about the war that rack up thousands of views and shares. They're traditional, getting pushed aside. Instead, these globally oriented songs and raps talk about the core principles of the Islamic Republic, like anti-Westernism and anti-imperialism, in a more modern way. Change how the Islamic Republic
to be able to sort of take like stands for. They've put aside a lot of that religious language.
And it's not just Lego videos. Over the past few weeks, Iranian embassies all around the world, internet culture references, showing a real shift in propaganda.
It's quite incredible to me to watch. They have outdone the United States and Israel in communication, are in charge of the communications arm in Iran. And in the United States and Israel, it still feels beholden to an older generation, which is why I think they're failing in the digital world.
Well,
Well,
I didn't think it was that.
It wasn't that that well put together. So don't shit on my parade over here.
Okay. Well, let's move into the media folder. How about that? And let's check in on Fox News. We've been checking in. We got some more check-ins to do. Let's
talking about. Didn't read it, but a bunch of people sent it to me. I just went, oh, from the 1950s
50s and 60s,
with the CIA, and they were trying to think of different ways to make people
extremists, and that he looked at Gemini in Lifetime. It did happen, Lydia.
It's all very disillusioned with mainstream their news exclusively from or professionals trying to seek certainty that people had about government during COVID. Now we've seen that extend to questioning the moon landing and the Holocaust and embracing conspiracy theories wholeheartedly.
And you know that Israel's behind all of our moves because someone said it on a podcast.
That's a great ISO. Israel's behind all of our moves because someone said it on a podcast. So, I mean, Joe Rogan, he misspoke, but what he's talking about is the 1953 Project Ajax, or Operation Ajax, which is where we installed the Shah. And the Shah was such a bad leader that the youth threw him out, probably propagandized youth. And that's where the radical Islam rose to power in the 70s. But yes, we did absolutely do Project Ajax in the 50s. So they're pointing at Joe Rogan being a big dumb. You know, there is some validation behind that.
Yeah, and it's funny to me that their sentiments were so positive when this was affecting Democrats during COVID.
Horse goo.
But now that the gun has been turned on them, well, this is unacceptable. We can't have people doing their own research about the CIA and the moon.
People are questioning the moon landing now. Like, that hasn't been happening for literally 60 years.
Yeah. You see that Sam Hyde guy crying about 6 million Jews, ironically? Terrible.
Oh, Fox News. You've always tried, and I appreciate that.
Well, I've got one that's trying a little bit harder than Fox News next. And this is from Glenn Beck, who I have to say... Beck. Yes. George Washington's favorite podcaster, Glenn Beck.
If oil goes to 105, we are all dead. That's not hyperbole. That's reality.
Dr. Don said so.
Buy my ass cream.
Okay. So Glenn Beck got the call. And this is something we've been talking about, and they're trying to very gently lay the foundation for a social media ban for the youth in America. And Glenn Beck got the call, so he's going to very gently talk about this. But I think it's worth noting that he is talking about it. And you'll notice that he goes from one topic, and by the time we get to the third and final clip here, he's going to shoehorn in the topic that I think the foundation is being laid for, which is kids and social media. But this is all from a national security perspective. And we've identified this early on have a majority of your nation in the modern world be able to access information from other nations, because it compromises your ability to control the narrative. And information moves so fast that you can't adapt your lies to the information that's available in the wild. We've seen the Trump administration struggle with this. And this is what the social media bans for children is all about. Anywhere it's happening, this is what it's about. It's being tested in a few places, but I'm convinced this is about national security in the information space. It's not about the kids. They don't care about your kids. If they cared about your kids, they wouldn't let people do gender mutilation surgeries or sex organ mutilation surgeries. There's no gender. Gender is a construct that we give credence. But they wouldn't let doctors and people be convinced that their children need to be sexually mutilated because they were born into a body in which they don't belong. If they cared about your kids, that wouldn't exist. But they don't. What they care about is maintaining and shoring up their power. And that is why we have the discussion about siloing the information space in America, or as you might have heard it referenced, banning social media for kids. Because the real problem with these narratives comes when you have to take an entirely new generation and apply the same propaganda that worked on previous generations to the new generations. They find problems with it. Either they don't care, or they think you're cringe in the way you present it, so they don't trust you, or they've just been exposed to the wilderness of media far longer than you thought they needed to be exposed to the narrative. So they've already been preconditioned to distrust what you sell as an administration or a regime. So it's a real problem. So we got to get the kids off social media, because we can't have them coming into the political sphere and being a wild card. We've got to know how they're feeling, and we got to know how to channel those feelings and control their behaviors, emotions, and actions. And the regime, which supersedes the administration, is failing at that. I don't know if you saw Harry Enton's piece on favorability.
I got clips. I got clips on it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's hit those clips immediately after we listen to Glenn Beck talk about this.
Yep.
So let's hear Beck on social media effects.
What do they have that they think they can beat the United States? Because we're wiping them out. We're cleaning their clock on the field of battle. What do they have? It's not missiles. It's what they see when they look at us through social media. Iran sees a divided America, an exhausted America, 20 years of forever wars. They see an America that's ready to turn on itself the second price of gas goes up. They see social media turning every clip into a weapon, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I told you this 2 weeks ago. Recent research from a private intelligence firm tracking this exact conflict shows that 60% of the most viral posts on X about Iran in the first weeks of the fighting came from accounts based outside of the U.S. Foreign accounts generated 155 million views compared to 93 million from real American viewers. Doctored images of sunken ships, scripted narratives designed to make us fight one another. The State Department just sent a cable to every embassy, push back against this coordinated propaganda from Tehran, Moscow, and Beijing. Okay, this isn't a theory. This is actually happening right now. And they don't care if you love Trump or hate Trump. You love the blockade or you question the blockade. They just need everybody at each other's throats. That's it. They need everybody screaming that the other side is a traitor, that one side is weak and the other is anti-American. Whatever it is, they don't care. They don't care. Anti-war voices calling pro-Israel voices neocon warmongers. MAGA influencers turning on each other. That's why I don't talk about that war.
Oh, no. People aren't in the same team anymore.
He's not wrong, but he's making the assumption that without access to international voices, the American people would grab hands and sing Kumbaya and tell one another how much it was just the Russians and the Chinese and the mullahs. They were the problem. That's farcical.
Yeah. No, the divide is here in the United States. Yes, the external actors do take advantage of it, but it is very much here. And the fake images of ships being sunk, the only people that fools are Glenn Beck's age.
Yes, exactly. The people that Trump are giving tax cuts to, by the way.
Well,
but that's another story.
That's the funny thing is, though, he angles this as we got to get the kids off social media. It's like we have to get the adults that are retired and have nothing to do all day and are
yes.
Oh my God, can you believe this? And they post an obvious AI generated video, and it's like, no, because that's fake. And they're like, no, it's not. It's not. And they'll fight you. They'll fight you. They'll say this isn't fake.
Yes, they will.
It takes the entire family coming around and putting their hand on their shoulder and saying, "This is fake. please come to reality with us." But that's the funniest part about that.
I agree with you. I think we need to get someone, maybe Thomas Massey, to sponsor a children under a certain age cannot be allowed on social media.
US popularity.
Sorry.
Whoa. You're so jumpy. You're so antsy.
Go on.
I think we need to get someone to sponsor a bill that when the bill comes across that says, tech firms need to be responsible and protect American children because of being by social media, then I think we need to have someone that puts forward a bill that says when you retire, your mind is obviously slowed because you're not working anymore. You're looking for things to do. And, I think the tech companies need to protect you. They need to keep you sane because you're holding the nation's wealth. So we can't have you being deceived by things online. So I think we either put an age limit on it. I don't know, maybe 55, 60, who knows?
I think it should be much younger. 45.
45. Okay.
Yeah.
So we say if you're 45, then you can't have social media, and then we'd be out of a show in a decade. But I think it would be a sacrifice from us, Dan. A sacrifice to better the nation.
There'd be carve-outs. We could do this. This is fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know how VPNs work, so
that's right. Hey, fellow young kids, what's going on?
What's popping?
Yeah, here's my cool video blog or vlog, as you kids are saying.
Hey there, I'm Harry Enton, and today we are...
Oh, sorry. I keep hitting that. Keep hitting that. Yeah, Harry Enton runs some numbers.
Harry is he's just an assertive little fellow, isn't he?
Keeps wanting to pop in.
So Glenn Beck he's gonna take this a little bit further, and he's going to analogize social media with a gun.
Oh boy.
But we have to be aware, to be able to spot things and understand who's winning in this. Like I said, they don't care if you're pro or against. They need both sides screaming at each other, okay? So I pulled a bunch of stuff from X over the weekend. And in the last 48 hours, since the blockade was announced and the talks in Islamabad, what were the tweets? What were the most popular tweets, okay? I found tweets that matched exactly the pattern flagged in the recent reports, okay, that the IRGC operatives, the state-affiliated accounts, posing as Americans or neutral observers while pushing content that is doing nothing but exploiting our divisions. Let me give you a few examples of these, okay? These are 12 hours, tens of thousands of likes, okay? The first one is from the, I can't remember, one of the state officials, I think the prime minister or the foreign minister of Iran. As soon as those things fell apart and he gets home to Iran, what does he tweet? He tweets a picture of the price of gasoline around Washington, D.C.
Oh, no.
Now, why would he care about the price of gasoline in Washington, D.C.? Why would he tweet that? Do you think his people care? That was directed to you. That was to you, okay? This is a gun.
Well, I feel like the response is to get everybody else to have guns. Let's propagandize Iran.
Well, that's a system. You become tyrannical by nature unless you forfeit power.
Enjoy your hummus prices.
That's why the First Amendment is so critical to a society. And I know it doesn't apply worldwide, but that is the philosophy of the First Amendment. And if they can't, then they're not worthy of survival.
I think it's
and that's what we're seeing on the global scale.
Right. And I think, too, it goes back to what we were talking about pre-2024 election is, the party that wins is the party that's having fun. And it seems like right now Iran is having fun. And they're doing it at the expense of the American people. But
I don't think they're having too much fun, per se.
But it's not about actually having fun. It's about the image of having fun.
Their narrative is more whimsy.
Yeah.
Their narrative is more whimsy. Yes. The whimsy party wins.
This is Trump teeing off and the golf ball hits Hillary Clinton and she falls on Air Force One.
Yes. That is the equivalent of the Lego pieces from Iran.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you saw the one that I sent you, the kung fu, the animalistic kung fu that was put out in the kind of cheesy kung fu style last week, but it was a pretty good one. But the Lego shorts from Iran have actually been banned on YouTube, which is indicative of just how threatening it is to the current regime. And, I can hear the criticism that, we can't tolerate blatant lies from state actors who don't have our interest in mind. I understand that angle, but your own nation's leadership should have such a strong ability to explain what they're doing that the foreign powers narrative doesn't have any effect on you. And if you're not able to do that, then maybe you don't have the popular support for a war and you shouldn't carry it out, no matter how much you talk about, well, what if they drop a bomb? What if they drop a bomb? Well, what if Venus throws a meteor at us? What are we going to do about it? You can't just fearmonger and get away with anything you can, and that's what's happening. But
I just think it would be funny if there was news of Venus throwing a meteor.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear what's happening here. We can't allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon is cover. It's cover, but it is highly effective. If you try to talk to anyone want Iran to get a bomb and you don't care if they drop a nuclear weapon on the U.S., and then if you point out that they can't reach the U.S., they say, well, you don't care if they drop a bomb on anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. The whole, just regurgitating the talking point of they're going to get a nuke. You can't get a nuke. They were so close. They were 2 weeks away. Yeah, they've been 2 weeks away for 10 years. So.
It's effective propaganda from the administration, but it is blatantly statist in nature. This is the fact. These are the facts, and if you don't agree with the facts, you're basically a traitor to your nation and don't care about our allies.
You're on their team.
Which is much more destructive than some bot accounts pushing a message on social media. And it's a shifting of the blame. I mean, when you have an administration that is losing the narrative battle because their narrative sucks, and it's obviously in service of a foreign nation, and then they shift the blame to bot accounts, basically, it doesn't have the desired effect. It actually pushes people further away from accepting your explanation of what's happening.
Right. And I think it is to, there's the divide even within just the right, the MAGA, the Republicans, whatever. And even within MAGA too, there's that divide. And I think even if you just say, can you at least admit that not everything in Iran has gone correctly, has gone according to plan? And if somebody can't even admit that, you expose their disingenuity. No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a word, but I get what you're saying.
I'm trying to,
Their
You know what I mean?
disingenuous nature.
Right. To the point where it's it is a very much a war of narratives. And, as much as I want Trump to succeed, I generally cheer for the guy or root for him. I can acknowledge when this was a bad move. Iran was a mistake. And
if we go back just a little bit, when we did Operation Midnight Hammer, we said at the time, and you were, I think you were worried about it becoming more than just a bombing raid, and you had midterms in mind, and how difficult it would be to win the midterms if we were involved in another Middle Eastern war for Republicans. And I said at the time, if this is nothing more than a bombing raid, and it's just to target the nuclear facilities, it'll be an afterthought. No one will remember that it happens until Trump touts it, and then they'll forget about it again. It'll never come up in the voters' minds until they're reminded by Trump that it was one of his accomplishments. But that's not what's happened. If we had left it at Midnight Hammer, you'd be cruising to a Republican's maybe supermajority
after Venezuela
in the midterms.
After Venezuela, it was like, oh my God, we're freaking back, baby. Everyone felt that. I was talking about the American system, the Hamiltonian American system. I was like, this has got to be it. And then I said, well, I don't see how Iran plays into it. And it's just been a month of me saying, well, maybe it's not even the American system. Maybe it was a complete swing and a miss, because this is not good. What's going on right now?
It's not, because, you can laugh at it, but it's the economy, stupid.
Right.
And when you wreck your own economy in the service of a foreign nation, which is all this is, no matter which foreign nation you want to pick, if your greatest threat is that Iran can develop a nuclear weapon and attack one of our allies, depriving them of that right as a sovereign state is in service of foreign nations. Now, if you want to say that they would have the capabilities to reach the U.S., that's a different story and a different discussion. But no one believes that they could reach the U.S. with a nuclear weapon. But if you want to wreck the economy leading into the midterms over Iran, a sovereign nation's ability to have a nuclear weapon, which we have and many other sovereign nations have, you're going to get what you deserve.
Yeah.
Because the ability to drive your car and not have to put $100 in it every week means a lot more to the average voter than the ethereal claim that Iran isn't going to get a nuclear weapon now.
Right. Like half of these people's kids live in the United States. Half of the IRGC's family lives here, which is just nutty.
Well, not anymore, but they did.
Yeah, they used to.
They used to.
Up until today.
We've revoked their citizenship status.
Right. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. There's no easy way. I mean, I hear the people spinning it. I do. I'm hoping that I'm wrong and they're right. But I, as the days go on, it just seems more and more desperate on their end.
And time is running out.
Yeah.
Because if Donald Trump is a lame duck in the second half of his last term as president, it's going to be brutal. I mean, there won't be anything that gets done.
He'll be impeached.
Yeah, he will be impeached.
We'll be talking about that for a month. It'll be fun.
We will. But you should still join us, even if that is the topic in the future, because we'll make we'll make fun of it and we'll have fun.
Yeah, just because we're critical of Donald Trump doesn't mean the Republican or the Democrats are any less stupid. They are.
Yes. Well, okay. So this is where Glenn Beck is going to shoehorn in the kids angle of this. And I say Glenn Beck got the call. I really believe that the call went out that this is an issue and we have to try to firm up the foundation for a social media ban, or at least an ability to strong arm these social media companies into limiting the ability of younger people to use their platforms to find information from around the world. And this is where Glenn Beck hits on that point.
And we don't let our kids have guns, right? We keep it in a safe, keep it locked up, keep guns out of the hands of children. Why?
That's why the
because they
there.
think it's a toy. They don't understand it is a lethal weapon. So they can kill others or themselves because they think it's a toy. Well, what do you think social media is? It is a weapon. It's a weapon.
Information war.
And yet we let our kids play with it. They think it's a toy. It's not there to teach you. It's not there to make your life easier or you to understand the world or make you stronger. Social media exists to enrich the companies that provide social media. Now, they can say they're going to help you and all kinds of stuff, whatever, but I guarantee you their main goal is to enrich themselves. And they do everything they can. This is all proven. This is not how we don't think of this. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's proven. Some of it in court, some of it in front of Congress. They spent millions of dollars trying to figure out ways to enslave you, to get you to never get off of their social media platform. Meanwhile, what are they doing? They're collecting information about you so they can get better at shaping you, because that's what it's about. Social media doesn't make things easier. Huge global power shapes you, your opinion, and the world we all live in. That's what's happening. It is the greatest propaganda tool of all time. And now we're at war. And now you're noticing it. If you're smart, you're noticing it. This is a 50 caliber machine gun aimed at your head and this civilization every single day. It's a nuclear weapon.
50 caliber machine gun aimed at your head.
That is also a nuclear weapon.
Exactly. Serious point taken there, Glenny boy. Thank you very much. I think social media is much more like alcohol, where Glenn Beck would specifically use that analogy. Of course,
it is alcohol, but we're all natives.
That's right. That's right. A bottle of whiskey pointed at his head.
Talking about since we started the show, it was all information war that he hasn't refined his pitch.
Right. It's equivalent to saying, it's basically, what's funny is because we're the big bad United States. We've got the most powerful army in the world. We've got the best weapons in the world. That's fact. We do. And now it's as if saying, well, we're not as good. We're not as good as these weapons, or we can't utilize these weapons as well. So we need to do away with these weapons. You don't need
right.
You don't need 30 hours of social media in one magazine. No one needs that.
right. When the founders wrote the First Amendment, they were talking about newspapers.
That's right. Oh, yeah, it is. Eric Pepe says it's frustrating seeing the right turn into the left. I tell you, it's happened.
Well,
the paradigm shift has happened at least 3 times since I've been around.
Yeah, but it's predictable because they now have a power structure to defend, and this is what being on the defensive looks like.
Exactly.
When you're on the offensive, you can be more whimsical and you can have more fun because you're just firing shots.
Exactly, you're throwing rocks.
With the analogy,
throwing rocks at
you're
the throne.
throwing rocks.
Yeah, and you don't care where they land. You're just firing them out there, which is what got me banned off Nextdoor. You know. But I get that. It's a good point. And Glenn Beck and Ben Shapiro's and everyone else has to spin this in a positive light, even though it's quite clear that the sky is indeed falling. You know, they'll point to the walls are closing in on Trump. No one is saying that anymore.
Yes.
No one's saying that out loud, but I understand the media has been saying that for years. This actually feels like the sky is falling on Donald Trump and his legacy. And if he can come out of it, which only Trump can do, it'll be impressive. But then you'll get the week-long posts of, I told you so, you doubters, you're disloyal. You know, it's just like...
Panicans.
Yep, shut up. Yeah. Well, so if we aren't doing this in the act of helping a foreign nation, one of them, the one that comes to Harry Enton's mind, who is Jewish, by the way, Harry Enton, is Israel. And he's run some numbers on the American support for Israel. This first one is going to be young Republicans under the age of 50. And I thought this was interesting, so I'll play it.
Hey there, I'm Harry Enton, and today we are running all the numbers on Israel's U.S. popularity problem. Israel is losing support here in the United States, even amongst Republicans. Take a look at this data. Take a look at this data amongst young Republicans. Look at this massive shift that we have had over just the last 4 years, the net favorability of Israel among Republicans under the age of 50. You go back to 2022, 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for Israel amongst young Republicans. But by 2025, look at this. Already a 30-point shift away. Their net favorability down to -2. Today, look at this, -16 points. That's an over 40-point shift in just 1, 2, 3, 4 years' time away from Israel amongst young Republicans. But that's not the only part of the Republican base where Israel is struggling. How about amongst moderate or liberal Republicans? They make up about 1/3 of the Republican base at this point in time. The net favorability of Israel with moderate liberal Republicans back in 2022, again, 2 thumbs up. You'll notice I do a lot of Siskel and Ebert references. I just really like them. At plus 26 points. Today, again, negative territory, -9 points. That's a 35-point shift in just 4 years' time, with moderate liberal Republicans shifting away from Israel. And this, to me, gives you a good indication of why one of the more ardent critics of Israel within the Republican Party is actually, at this point, favored to win a competitive primary. You may know him, Thomas Massie. He, of course, is the representative from Kentucky's 4th District. Boom. He has been opposed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has endorsed his opponent. Pro-Israel voices are also opposed. Many of them have also opposed Thomas Massie. But at this point, look at this. His chance of being the Republican nominee, winning that Republican primary in Kentucky's 4th District, is actually more likely than not to occur. Look at this. According to the Kalshi prediction market, this point, a 71% chance.
Look at it. 71% chance Massie wins. Massive shifts, 30, 40-point shifts among young Republicans in their support of Israel. It's now underwater. More young Republicans don't support Israel than they do support Israel. And I bet they learned that on a podcast. But it's not just Republicans. It's across the board. Here's all young people and moderate Democrats.
It's not just on the right. It's not just amongst Republicans where Israel is losing support amongst the unexpected places. How about among younger men who were a key part of Donald John Trump's coalition back in 2024? They have very much shifted away from Israel. Look at this. Net favorability of Israel among men under the age of 50. In 2022, not too bad, but not too hot to trot either at -3 points. By 2025, again, down we go, -22 points. That is a 19-point shift and just 44-point shift away from Israel on the net favorability amongst young men who, of course, shifted massively into the Republican column back in 2024, and they have been shifting away from Israel over the last 4 years. But here's the thing. You want to talk about unexpected, perhaps no number I have seen is more unexpected than this one, because when we talk about the Democratic base, right, and we talk about them being against Israel, that's been true amongst liberal and very liberal Democrats for a decent period of time. But now we're even seeing it among moderate and conservative Democrats, because take a look at these numbers. I mean, this is a sea change. This is a sea change. Net favorability of Israel amongst non-liberal Democrats, that is, those who identify as either moderate or conservative. Back in 2022, Israel was on the plus side of the ledger. 3 years' time. You think that's a big shift? How about now? Look at this. Among moderate conservative Democrats, the net favor of Israel down into the Sea of Galilee at -55 points. That's a nearly 60-point switcheroo in just 4.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that have had a lot to say about prophecy lately, and how Catholics believe that they are the actual new Israel, and how that's actually blasphemy. I'm not going to name names, but they are prominent. So it is interesting that Israel is down in the polls so much, and I want to, how do you fix that if you're Israel, John? How do you get the American people back on Team Israel?
I mean, I don't think you do, but if you were trying to,
yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna have to think about it, because if you're Israel and people don't like what you're doing, but you want to keep doing it, but you want to change the way that people see what you're doing, you tell them that you're preventing another Holocaust.
You could do that. Or I really liked this from the prediction list. You said this on December 16th of 2025. You predicted an attack on Jewish people, an anti-Semitic attack on Jewish people in 4 to 6 months in America. 4 to 6 months from that date would be April to June of 2026.
Yes.
So an anti-Semitic attack happens on Jewish people.
And this Sunday is the 33rd anniversary of Waco, so
what does it stand by that prediction?
We're in the critical window. Yes, I still think that will happen.
You didn't even remember that you said it until I reminded you. But yes, you still think it's going to happen. Perfect. I'm for it.
Are you for it?
I'm not for it. I'm saying I'm for
unfair.
the prediction.
I'm sorry. Yes, it was funny, but it was unfair.
You got my, don't make me put my nose in it. Speaking of which, the PayPal app on my phone, I got one of those phones that scans your faces. Oh no. And when I open the PayPal app on my phone, it scans my face about 4 times. I think it scans my face, sees my nose, and goes, "Brother? No. And it scans me 4 more times because it thinks that I'm, a certain ethnicity, perhaps, or a certain religion, and then rescans it a bazillion times because it's like, no, not quite. You know what I'm saying?
Or it could just be scanning everyone that many times.
Maybe. Could be. When I was in the financial district in New York, some Hasidic Jewish people came up and said, "Are you Jewish, brother?" to me. I think they were, kind of the Jewish equivalent of gospel preachers. So evidently I look Jewish. But that's unrelated to the whole PayPal thing I was talking about. So Jewish people are not very popular in the United States right now. Or Israel is not very popular. The secular state of Israel, which has nothing to do with Judaism whatsoever. Unless it's convenient. So. Yeah.
Well.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to move us along. So you continue with your thought.
Nope. Get me out of here. I've already said too much.
We're not going to scan your face when you send us money. So I think we should thank anyone if anyone has.
I think they have.
Millennial Media.
Offensive. You are riding along in the offensive every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. John and I hop on this here interwebs and talk to our fellow young people or old people. You can be of any age right now until it's banned, until Massey gets elected and bans boomers from social media. You can listen to the Millennial Media Offensive no matter what age you are. And we come here, we don't have advertisers. We put it out for free and hope you find value. And if you do find value, we ask that you send it back to us by way of fiat currency or information or artwork or Bitcoin or any way that you think we would find value. We might find it valuable. It might be annoying. I don't know. You just have to send it to us, and then we'll figure it out. We'll decide. We'll be the justice. But that's the model. That's the value for value model, and that's what we rely on. So, consider it. Consider sending in a donation today. But we always like to start off by the person that provided the art from the previous week. And we didn't get art last week because we didn't have a show last week because of illnesses, but we did have this piece that came in of the milk. This was around the discussion of whether or not I should sell my wife's breast milk, cow outfits, and a gallon of what I suppose would be that woman's breast milk. Picture of her on the carton.
That is the implication.
Yeah. I like that the second one in is strawberry milk, and you can tell because she's a pink cow.
Yes. Yes, it's a good piece. My only complaint with it is that the names are hard to make out because they're overshadowed by the milk crates that host the letters of the names. But other than that, I think the concept was great and the execution was great.
Yeah, I liked it. I have come down firmly in the camp of no. I'm never going to sell my wife's breast milk. By the way,
I knew you would.
Yeah, of course. Just something feels off about it, I don't want to get wrong in that. So thank you, Wolf. We don't have any art for tonight, so if you're listening, you got an idea, feel free to send it in. Operators are standing by to judge according. You can send that to dan@mmo.show and john@mmo.show. Please and thank you. We had some fiat donators that came in over the past 2 weeks, and much appreciated. We'll thank them in due reference. Starting off at the top of the list, our Day One Fish, and in the chat room, I thought he had forgotten about us. I thought Sharky Shark was gone and didn't listen, and he's in the chat room tonight. That's chat.mmo.show. He's joined us, and he's trolling along, and we love it. But he came in through PayPal with $20.01. That's his monthly recurring donation. Thank you, sir. It hadn't been coming through in the months that you weren't here, so I don't know. You show up, and it came through. We appreciate it. Just kidding. It has been. So thank you very much, Sharky Shark. Everyday Jay, which I believe is a newer name. We've heard it once or twice before, I think. But they came in through PayPal with $20 and says, MMO is for Gen Xers too. OTO.
On the offensive.
Yes, thank you. MMO, thank you very much, Everyday Jay. Plaid Potion came in through PayPal with $19.84 and says, sorry, it's been a minute.
On the offensive.
So this time, OT has heard the previous calls where I had never called in. She realized that if I was calling in, it must be pretty bad. So thank you very much. Emily the Fed came in with $11. If I can remember where these damn buttons are.
You are not
a Fed. There you are. Thank you, sir. Glad to hear your still comes in through Cash App with $5.55
on the offensive.
OTO. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. It's been 2 weeks, but that is still ringing true to me. Susan A. Comes in through Cash App again with $5.55 and says, OT.
The boost, you can sweep with 330. The boost, you can sweep with 333 satoshis. P stream. So
I think we should start.
2 European nations
criticized Israeli attacks on Lebanon. The Italian Prime Minister went a step further.
In light of the current situation, the government has decided to suspend the automatic renewal of the defense agreement with Israel.
According to a defense ministry source, one consequence of this is that Rome will no longer cooperate with Israel on military training, a strategic but mostly symbolic blow. Italy isn't the only Western country to shift away the embargo on the country, banning all exports to Israel of defense material and dual-use products or technologies, and the import of such equipment to Spain. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said the move was part of a package of measures aimed at halting what he called the genocide in Gaza. Even in the United States, Israel's strongest ally, support is starting to wane. J Street, an advocacy group that describes itself as the political home for pro-Israel, pro-peace Americans, called on Monday for a recalibration of the U.S.-Israel security relationship. It cited the use of American weapons in ways that have resulted in mass civilian casualties and raised serious concerns about war crimes.
These developments underscore the need for a more sustainable approach that ensures America's support for Israel is not a blank check.
Currently, in line with a memorandum of understanding signed during the Obama administration in 2016, the U.S. provides Israel with $3.3 billion in foreign military financing annually, as well as $500 million for cooperative programs for missile defense. There's been growing debate among Democrats in recent years around U.S. security assistance to Israel, and even a small number of voices within the Republican Party have criticized arms sales.
We should. $3.3 billion a year is insane. If the people are correct in criticism of Israel and condemnation of Israel's actions.
Well, it turns out that they do, though.
Interesting. If it's not religious based, that is interesting. Yeah. So it turns out it's not just the U.S. So that's Europe. I've got a little bit of an update on Hungary. I said like 3 weeks ago that it was unlikely that Viktor Orban remains in office in Hungary, and it was an organized play by Ursula von der Leyen to shore up the pro-EU group within the EU, so they can eventually probably federalize or pretty much secure their future, or at least attempt to secure their future. And Viktor Orban loses, and oh my God, the media go by double digits. Here we go. Here is this upset, this political upset that happened out of nowhere.
An election upset in Europe that is sending political shockwaves across the continent. Hungary's far-right nationalist leader, Viktor Orban, was defeated in an election yesterday. This brings to an end his 16 years in office. Orban was heavily backed by the Trump administration, but he lost to his center-right rival, Peter Magyar, in a landslide. It's a result that could have major implications for the European Union and the Ukraine war. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now with more on this. Somali Orban was embraced by the far right globally, including here in America. Well, critics say under his leadership, Hungary is no longer considered a full democracy. He conceded last night following a pretty resounding defeat. What's he saying? What's been the reaction in Hungary?
Yeah, Joe, resounding defeat is definitely an understatement. It was Joe, this was a dirty campaign, both sides kind of hurling insults, leaking sensitive information about the other. But it was a landslide, as you say, the kind of victory that could mean real change could come to that country. Now, the reaction from voters, we've been watching kind of all the local TV feeds come in. And most of the voters who were interviewed that we listened to said that their vote was driven by Hungary's relationship with Russia. For further proof this morning, Joe, the currency in Hungary surged this morning to a 4-year high against the euro. So
Whoa,
good
they
news
love
for
it.
a lot of Hungarians this morning.
So, Molly, I mean, what do we know about the incoming Prime Minister, Peter Mojár? I mean, he's not a liberal. He leads a center-right party. So what could this mean for the EU? What could it mean for the Ukraine war?
Yeah, a real reality check, I think, for people around the world who are celebrating this or looking at the headlines with some relief. He is a staunch conservative. He was part of Orban's party for many.
Why is that a reality check? The fact that he's a staunch conservative.
I don't know. I think she's just throwing around terms.
Liberal.
Many years, but what he has said is that he will restore checks and balances. He will restore democratic systems that were eroded at hand. Now, morning, Joe, and she says a country reclaims its European path. The union grows stronger, and it is not just a symbolic win. It is a real practical win for EU member states, Joe. A lot of major decisions require all 27 member states to sign off. Orban has basically wielded a veto, and so there's a lot of kind of hopefulness that actually Peter Mojár may actually kind of become more involved and be more open to some of the member state bloc's decisions.
There you go. So Ursula von der Leyen's cheering and clapping because the person that used to say, wait a minute, Europe, let's stop this, decade war that we're doing with Russia. Let's recalibrate. Maybe we can be friends with Russia. Maybe, we can be friends with our neighbors. That's gone now. And now you have Peter Mojár, who's going to be lockstep with Ursula von der Leyen and the EU. So that's really, really a bummer for Hungary and for the people because now they've effectively just become the next EU state to fall in line. The next piece of the puzzle. The only one left is Robert Fico in Slovakia now. So we'll see what happens there.
And didn't they try to kill him?
They did try to kill Robert Fico, and that's kind of a corollary that I'm glad you said that because I wanted to bring up. We should watch what happens to Viktor Orban in Hungary, just as a human being.
I don't think you can let him hang around.
Yeah, I would say let's watch what happens to Viktor Orban, and that'll be a pretty good analogy as to what's going to happen when the next Democratic president gets elected in 2028, if they do. Because it's going to be what I believe to be a vengeance campaign against people, against political figures first.
The guy who won in Hungary, in his acceptance speech, and it was tough to clip because it was translators.
Yeah.
But in his acceptance speech was already accusing Orban's party of being hard at work at the paper shredders.
Get out the corruption. Yeah. They're going to lock up Viktor Orban on something stupid. You can already tell, and that's going to be, and the way that the media sells it, right, is that there's Putin and there's Xi, there's Viktor Orban and there's Donald Trump, and they're all on the same team bad guy. Right. And the election in Hungary was sold in two ways. Look, there's two L's chalked up for the Trump admin, mainly J.D. Vance, for the fallout of the Iran negotiations, and now the loss of Viktor Orban, which he was going to lose anyway. But it's sold as this is what happens to Trump's allies now. This is what's happening to Trump's allies. And so I think what happens to Viktor Orban is going to be a signal as to what's supposed to happen to Donald Trump in 2028.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I think we're another step closer to the EU federalization. I still think that is absolutely the aim and goal of Ursula von der Leyen, naming herself Queen of Europe. But really no surprises there. This idea that it was an overnight political upset that came out of left field is just absolute media narrative, and there's no fact behind it because Viktor Orban was going to lose this election 4 months ago. And everyone was saying, well, he might, there's a story of Russia might fake an assassination attempt on Orban in order to surge his popularity in the polls. Wink, wink, that's never happened anywhere recently, right? Like, the narratives are nuts. But effectively, Viktor Orban losing in Hungary is Donald Trump losing in the United States in the media mind. One less bad guy on the world stage.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, this Magyar, he was a part of the Fico party, which was Viktor Orban's party. He broke out after Orban had apparently covered for somebody that was involved in child abuse. I don't know the whole story. It seems like a guy that clawed his way to power through Viktor Orban and then put the knife in his back when he saw that it was politically advantageous for him.
Of course.
Yeah. He's an Ursula plant.
Okay, I have an Africa clip. You want to hop down to Africa?
Let me just see if I have it.
Nigeria specifically.
Yeah, we're good to go. Oh, well, let's do that.
Okay, but I have a new Africa stinger for us, a segment opener, if you will, and I want to get your feedback on it, see if it's worth adding to your board and using it.
Africa right now, Africa right now, Africa right now, from Africa right now. Vika hata anda ato, Africa right now, Africa right now. Ora bata rata ande eke manda rasata.
Large African package.
Well, it's definitely
it's a
something.
Little long.
We could mix it. Yeah, we could cut it down a little bit. What is that from?
That is from what the internet calls Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. And she's a Protestant preacher. And she does these things where she gets up and, I guess, under the influence of the Holy Spirit,
speaks in tongues,
says things. Yeah.
I'm always like, that's really what I want to know when I'm talking to somebody about religion or whatnot. I was like, are you one of the tongue speaking religions? If so, in one ear and out the other, but that's beyond me. You're not a tongue speaking religion, are you?
No, not a sect that does that practices that.
Okay. Just making sure.
So we do have revivals, cross denomination revivals with churches that do.
Yeah. The way I look at it is like, I've got friends that practice yoga, but we don't talk about yoga when they're around, so.
Yeah, that's generally how it's handled.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the Holy Spirit made you do all that, huh? Wow.
Okay, this clip is about the Nigerian army attacking a market.
Oh boy.
The Nigerian military has confirmed it carried out what it called a precision airstrike on a known terrorist base amid reports that the attack killed scores of people at a local market. The military says it has now opened an investigation into the incident. According to a local news outlet, The Punch, the bombing has triggered widespread condemnation from local authorities, political leaders, and rights groups amid conflicting accounts on the number of casualties. The airstrike happened on Saturday in the village of Jili, near the border of Borno and Yobe states. The area has been at the center of a violent insurgency for more than 16 years. Why does this matter? Since 2017, the Nigerian army has been accused of killing at least 500 civilians in its military campaign against an Islamist insurgency in northeastern Nigeria, according to a tally by AP News Agency. The army rejects most of the allegations. Ben Shamang reports on the latest incident.
The Nigerian military carried out an airstrike on Saturday. They say they planned it carefully using intelligence and information. The governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, said that this market helped supply terrorists with goods. He had closed the market for 5 years before to try to stop the terrorists. A former Nigerian Army Chief, General Tukur Buratai, said that the Air Force did its job professionally. However, the Air Force is now checking if any civilians were hurt or killed. There are different reports on how many people died. Some say 50, while others say as many as 200 people were killed.
We should carve out that northern section of Nigeria, call it its own country, and then bomb Nigeria for 70 days in defense of that new majority Muslim country.
Let me ask you to look again at a map.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a first.
Yeah, Serbia and Nigeria sound pretty close. There's a lot of same letters there. That's interesting. So the Nigerian army, which denied the genocide of Christians, is now striking known terrorist hotspots in markets, blowing up markets that host terrorists.
Yes, and I will say a lot of the bodies or the wounded that you can see from this event, they are all military-aged men. They don't appear to be in military garb, but at the same time, you have to consider the demographics of Africa and Nigeria specifically, which would be a lot more common to see this many military-aged men in one area than in some other nations. So take that with a grain of salt, but the Nigerian government could be actually acting on decent information when they bombed this quote-unquote market.
You know, it makes me think, like, Nigeria, that's a tactic that we've seen with, Israel. We've bombed this market because they were using, this market as cover. So we kill them. It really makes you wonder if they're taking a page out of the Israeli playbook there. Turns out during the 1967 Civil War, 1967 Nigerian Civil War, Israel was supplying both sides, both the government and the rebel groups, with weapons. So,
Yeah, okay. Well, the rest of my material is stateside. Do you have anything else international?
Stateside, yeah, I did want to bring this one. I'm glad that one was terrorist focused, because this is about a European company that was funding terrorists. I thought this was interesting, and I really don't know what to think about it, so I wanted to play it for you to see what your thoughts were. This is about a French cement company called Lafarge that apparently had operations in Syria. So have a listen here.
At a Paris court for an historic verdict, former executives of French multinational Lafarge, all found guilty, along with the company itself, of financing terrorism. The judge ruled that Lafarge knowingly paid armed groups, including ISIL, nearly $5 million to keep its cement plant operating and making money in northeastern Syria at the height of the war there.
It's a huge historic precedent. And I think what the tribunal today has condemned is cynicism in the business world. It's the cynicism of pretending that you can build business relationships with armed groups like the Islamic State while they were perpetrating crimes against humanity and genocide, and pretend that you didn't understand the consequences of your actions.
The judge said Lafarge knew the risks. Between 2012 and 2014, it evacuated its foreign staff but kept its Syrian workers on site.
The going to the plant was very, very dangerous.
This former plant employee didn't want to be identified. He said Syrians like him had little choice.
We were working there every day at the night just to keep the plant working, because this is the only way to get our income.
Lafarge has been fined more than $1 million. Its former CEO, Bruno Lafont, received a fine of more than $250,000 and a 6-year prison sentence. The judge said that Lafarge established a genuine commercial partnership with ISIL, one that allowed the armed group to carry out its terror activities, she said, both in the region but also in Europe. The landmark ruling sends a stark message about corporate responsibility and sets a legal precedent that could change the way companies operate in conflict zones. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Yeah, man. It's only really a problem when corporations start paying terrorist groups to protect their assets and industry in Syria. But it's totally cool when governments fund terrorist groups to protect your assets and industry in Syria. Which the Kurds and our oil fields come to mind.
Yes.
The Kurds, of course, were actively engaged in terrorist activities in Turkey. So That's the correlation that I drew. So I just thought that was kind of funny, where it's like, tisk tisk. Why didn't you cut us into that action? Is what the French government saying.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So that was like kind of a one-off that didn't really fit anywhere, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless.
Okay. Well, I think we should talk about Swalwell resigning.
Old Eric in California, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
This is in the Congress folder.
Gotcha. Right here.
Get to some breaking news now coming into us here in Washington. We told you at the top of the show about Congressman Eric Swalwell under deep and intense pressure to step down after sexual misconduct allegations against him. He is now, in a statement that was posted literally in maybe the last 90 seconds, as we're getting our Hill team to a camera here, saying he is now apparently going to resign from Congress. I want to read you this statement here coming in from Eric Swalwell, again, Democrat from California. He had already dropped out of the governor's race in that state and now apparently stepping down from his seat. He says he plans to resign his seat in Congress. I think our team has turned this around. We'll be able to show you some of what he said. And in part of this statement, 3 paragraphs just about, he says, I must take responsibility and ownerships for the mistakes I did make. He says he is aware of those efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against him and other members. Now, we talked about this earlier in the show. That is an effort that some, even in his own party, had been promoting. Swalwell says that expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, but he says it is also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, he says, I plan to resign my seat in Congress.
Yeah, I love that he posted that on X and they failed to acknowledge that that's where they were literally reading it from.
Does that bother you?
Well, yeah, it's just kind of like we can't divulge our sources, but the announcement was on X. It was immediately retweeted a bazillion times.
Yeah.
I love the first comment, donut operator who's a gun tuber. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but on Eric Swalwell's post, it just says later retard. It's probably Iran.
Probably Iran or China.
One of them. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder who they're clearing him out for,
Well, that's interesting. You should ask. There's one Republican running, and this feels like dirty tricks, this whole Swalwell thing. But I don't know that the Republican in the race has what it takes. She has a bio that mentions that she was involved in Silicon Valley and prominent companies, but there's no references to specific companies to be found. But she did attend some kind of a live Steve Bannon War Room thing and was interviewed a few months back, shortly interviewed. But I have that clip. This is Wendy Huang War Room thing.
Is somebody running against Swalwell over there? Yeah, Eric Fang Swalwell. Tell us your name, where you're running, and what the War Room and the posse, how Steve inspired you to do this.
Okay. So my name is Wendy Huang. I'm running for Congress in Eric Swalwell's district. That's California District 14. And my message is very simple: keep America for law-abiding citizens first. And this is a priority that we need to keep in Congress. And you know what? It takes more, even though it's easy, but it takes moral courage, because this is a nation with moral and religious people based on biblical principles. So we must have moral courage to do what is right for law-abiding American citizens.
Did that feel to you like she was just hitting words that she thought would be popular?
Well, she has a very polished pitch.
I wouldn't call what that was polished.
The pitch is polished, but her presentation maybe not so much.
Right. It really made it sound like she was like, Bible, God,
Bible. Put a marker down for an intro if we don't have one.
Maybe it just felt inauthentic.
I agree. I don't think she has what it takes, especially not in that district.
Yeah. Best of luck to her. I think they're they're teeing up somebody. They're trying to get somebody into that office, that position. Something. I heard some speculation that it was to get somebody to avoid challenging Newsom in California.
Possibly. Newsom probably has enough of a stranglehold on state politics to warrant that kind of action.
Captain Hairgel. Yeah.
Captain Hairgel.
He's definitely running in 28.
Okay, well, let's also hear about Tony Gonzalez, who is a Republican who is resigning his seat.
Oh yeah, and speak of gun tubers, that's who's taking over.
Yeah, administrative results, right?
Yeah.
Got to get to some more breaking news here in Washington out of Capitol Hill. We talked earlier about Congressman Eric Swalwell saying he plans to resign from Congress. Now, on the other side of the aisle, Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez from Texas says he will file his retirement from office tomorrow. So, again, questions on the timeline here, if that means he's leaving his seat immediately or what. But we have been reporting, of course, on sexual misconduct accusations against Gonzalez, who dropped his reelection push in the last couple of weeks. He allegedly sent inappropriate texts to multiple staffers. The House Ethics Committee is also investigating his relationship with a congressional aide who died by suicide last year.
Yep. He had an affair, and she killed herself. And now Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, is going to fill that spot.
Yep, indeed. I've got some cultural things that we can talk about, but I also have a couple of tech clips that we should probably do before the cultural clips.
Okay.
And this is about Claude's new product, which won't be available publicly, but is garnering some media attention anyway.
Right. It's so good that we can't release it.
All right. It's Mythos. It's mythical.
You guys are going to want to invest in this.
Anthropic says its newest AI model named Claude Mythos Preview is too powerful and dangerous to be released to public. So Mythos excels at identifying weaknesses and security flaws in software, which hackers could use in cyber attacks.
Obviously, capabilities in a model like this could do harm if in the wrong hands. And so we won't be releasing this model widely.
Widely.
All right, joining us now is tech journalist.
What does widely mean?
Jacob Ward.
Hey,
Jacob. All right, this really has me intrigued. Can you give us more details on how this Mythos works and why Anthropic is not releasing it widely to the public? Now I really want to see it and know what's going on.
Hey, Juliet, I think this is part warning, part marketing, right? This is a company drawing incredible attention to itself through this announcement. Project Mythos, as I understand it, is it's just a new model, right? It could write knock-knock jokes for you if you wanted it to, but what the company says it can also do is basically find security vulnerabilities in more or less any software system you throw it at. It makes it a hacker's dream device, and that's why the company says it is not releasing it to the public. The weird part here, Juliet, is that it is releasing it to 40 other companies and giving them a chance to test its vulnerability, the vulnerabilities that it makes possible. And so this rhetoric that Anthropic is coming out with saying we're not going to release this isn't quite accurate because, in fact, they're giving it to all their peers, Juliet.
He said they're not going to release it widely, and that I hung on that word. So what is that guy talking about? I hate the media, man.
They're releasing it to their peers, the companies.
Which is what he implied with widely, but still, just geez. It's gaslighting. That's what that is.
Is it gaslighting?
Yeah, I'm gaslit. Because I heard widely, and I go, what does that mean?
You're gaslit?
Yeah, he goes, they're not going to release it isn't true. It's like, he said it. He said they were going to release it, but not widely. Come on. Maybe I'm being nitpicky here.
I think you're being a little nitpicky.
Probably.
But if you think that this powerful tool won't be used for corporate sabotage, I think you're poorly mistaken.
I like when, I've always been a big tinkerer, and I've always liked when, jailbreaking iPhones and whatnot. I've always been a big fan of that and done it. So I think that could serve that role if this mythos is as powerful as it says it is, and they're not just trying to shore up the next round of venture capital.
Right.
So we'll see.
Indeed, we will.
Oh, and speaking of Claude, I have a now voice assistant to run my home that is,
oh, really?
Yeah, that is not cloud-based. All of the Whisper models and everything run on my local network, but I have a secondary one that can use Claude, and it's pretty cool. Because I could be like, hey, open my garage door halfway. It times how long it takes to open the garage door, and then it does half that time. It's like, is that halfway? Just wild stuff, man. Wild stuff indeed.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's see here. Yes, we have another clip here about Glasswing.
I'm not familiar with this.
So to help address AI cybersecurity concerns, Anthropic has announced Project Glasswing. So what is this initiative?
Well, this is that consortium of other companies. Essentially what Anthropic is saying is we're going to give this to other companies, let them look at whether or not they can figure out the level of national security implications here, the cybersecurity implications here. The weird part, Juliet, is that when I look at how those companies are then talking about it with their customers, they're not talking about it like it's a civilization level threat. They're talking about it like it's a fancy airline lounge that has launched, right? The rhetoric that you see from companies has to do with, look how exciting this is, and we are committed to providing you with frontier models. Look how cool that will be. And so what you have here isn't, you know, the kind of thing that we did as a country after, let's say, bird flu, where suddenly the United States established a whole set of rules about dangerous experimentation in which the federal government had to oversee it. None of that is happening here. Instead, you have Anthropic running with this thing, and they're, you know, to their credit, withholding it from the public for the moment, but they're sharing it with all of these other companies, and it's those companies who, again, make the money off these systems that are going to determine how dangerous it is, Juliet.
Yeah, this is interesting. I just went on and looked up Project Glasswing. Apparently, Amazon Web Services, Cisco is involved. I'd venture to guess. Oh, here's the whole list of companies. Microsoft, yeah, that's what I was going to venture to guess. CrowdStrike, the Linux Foundation, JP Morgan Chase, Google, Palo Alto. Saw the big players there. There's been a lot in this. Did you see the article? We got it through our contact form on the site, but it was a guy named Goober, or a girl named Goober, I don't know.
Yes.
About the government running a dragnet on VPN users.
Yes, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
It does. So it's another dirty trick from the NSA, effectively saying if you're obscuring your location through the use of a VPN, even if you're an American citizen, the government has the right to spy to you, and you void your Fourth Amendment rights because they think you could be a foreign national trying to do harm.
Yes,
was the main article takeaway, and I thought that was interesting, and it really made me wonder if all the things that I'm doing are being recorded somewhere. Probably are, to be used against me if I ever become a problem or too big of a problem, which is not a thought that really warms your belly at night.
No, it's really not, because the weight of the state is immense.
I saw, and again, continuing with tech, and I know we're kind of bouncing around here on topics. I saw a guy that was talking about using the mesh network to make it kind of like an off-the-grid internet, and it revolved on one piece of software. It started with an R. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, but it was really kind of fascinating. I wanted to watch the whole thing, but I, alas, had to do my job. So I just kind of browsed at it. But it was based on the mesh system, and it started with an R, and I can't remember what it was. Reticulum. Cotton Gin knew it. I knew someone would know it. Yeah, it was Reticulum. And he was able to get a connection from the United States to Venezuela, where his video editor lives, all over radio. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So tell me what this is again?
The Reticulum network, apparently it's an alternative to Meshtastic, but it runs on the ESP32 chips, which are a lot of fun, actually. If you're a tinkerer, get some ESP32s. Chances are you can do something cool with it. But here's a little blurb from the website. It's a cryptography-based network stack for building local and wide area networks with readily available hardware. Reticulum can continue to operate even in adverse conditions with high latency and extremely low bandwidth. The vision of Reticulum is to allow anyone to operate in autonomous networks. Reticulum is unstoppable networks for the people, which that last line sounds like it came straight out of Minneapolis. Reticulum is not one network. It's a tool for building thousands of networks without kill switches, surveillance, censorship, and control. Networks that can freely interpolate, associate, and disassociate with each other. Yeah, so it sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, it does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, Cottingent says he likes ESPs just do a function, and they're cheaper, and there's less prone to error because they're smaller in that kind of regard and that mission. Are amazing, and that's what I bought these $10 little things. They're called the Atom Echo, and I can say, a wake word, and it'll wake up, and it'll do a task in my house, and it's all happening on my local network in my local compute power. It's pretty cool, and they have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and microphones and speakers, and you can get them without microphones or without speakers. There's just a bazillion of these small things, and if you are interested in that area of like tech, it's a real fun time right now because everyone is just kind of figuring it out and playing with it and inventing new stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
As it should be.
Yeah. So I think that open source idea of self-hosting at home, but also using non-internet provider or central structures to communicate is going to grow as time goes on, as it should.
Indeed.
Yep. But rounding out tech, I saw this headline today about Polymarkets in hot water again, and it's the same issue as last time. New accounts popping up, placing a winning bet, and then never having activity again after they cash out. So I'll let this one play.
For the third time this year, the prediction market platform Polymarket is under scrutiny as a group of anonymous traders have made strategic, well-timed bets on the platform on major geopolitical events and won. An analysis by the Associated Press found that a group of traders created accounts hours before President Trump announced a ceasefire between Iran and the United States. These accounts did not exist before. They made only one bet and they won. One account made $200,000. Another account that was created 12 minutes before President Trump's announcement on Truth Social made around $43,000. So what is Polymarket? Polymarket is a prediction market. It is a ability for people to bet on everything from the weather in Los Angeles to whether the Federal Reserve is going to move interest rates. The reason why this is a big deal is that this is the third time this has happened just this year. Earlier in January, Polymarket users bet on Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela being thrown out of office, hours before that event actually happened. In February, Polymarket users placed substantial bets that Iranian leader Ayatollah Khamenei would be removed from office, hours before the US and Israel struck the country. Members of Congress are now calling for investigations on whether insiders have had information before these announcements happened and made those bets.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bunch of people that were like, "Hey, I heard about this Polymarket. I better start one right now and bet on this ceasefire agreement."
Yeah, you're not that early.
Right. So I don't know who it is. I'd have to imagine some of them are Barron Trump. It's like, why not, dude? Hey, Dad, what are we doing with Iran? Peace agreement? Sick. Better go.
Yes,
through.
which is why I created the website that allows you to see those unusual swings and odds and potentially capitalize on them, and to help us predict what may be happening with certain events around the world.
Oh, yes. That's the tertiary reason. I like it.
You want to talk about the culture?
I don't know if I do, but yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's start with something fun. Let's start with Sabrina Carpenter. Have you seen what is happening with Sabrina Carpenter after Coachella?
No, I know who she is. I've seen her. I've seen that one album cover, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, the right has latched on to Sabrina Carpenter now. She's the new Sydney Sweeney because of this interaction with a fan at one of her concerts.
Is that what you're doing? I don't like it. That's your culture, is yodeling? Is this Burning Man? What's going on? This is weird.
Uh-oh. The reason the right adopted her is because she was probably getting torched on the left for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, she came out and apologized, as one does.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the ladies in the front were doing an Arabic call. I don't know if you could hear it very well.
Yeah, it sounds like la 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 la.
Yeah, that's not very close to it, but yes, you get the idea.
Well, I mean, does anyone remember the Ariana Grande concert that got bombed, or was almost bombed, or what was the whole thing?
I don't remember this.
Yeah. I think it happened in Europe. Yeah, Manchester.
Well, if you want to look up something better than Dan's reiteration of this call, it's a Zagruta. Zagruta. ZAGRO. I think you spell it ZAGR.
Ululation?
It's a type of ululation, but it's ZAGHROUTA.
Oh, Wikipedia's got a little video right here. She was not being raped. She was just walking around, just for the podcast listeners there. Yes, it's an ululation. Ululation.
Okay, well, anyway.
I would love to do ululation and some Lululemon. I think that'd be a fun little play. Yeah, but no, Ariana Grande's concert was blown up by terrorists. Like, there was somebody who was killed in Manchester. You know, I would be on edge too if I was a performer and somebody starts going, I'd be like, are we about to die?
I understand that.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
All right, well, let's do a little more culture. Maybe caffeine is going to be under attack for the youth because there was a cheerleader who died from too many energy drinks.
Oh man, if this isn't a PR stunt, I don't know what is.
The family of a Texas teenager is blaming an energy drink for the cheerleader's death. The family of that 17-year-old is suing the drink's distributor for wrongful death.
They say their daughter died from an enlarged heart and say it was caused by drinking large amounts of caffeine, and they want her death to be a warning to others.
This was the senior year for high school student Larissa Rodriguez.
Her goal was to go to law school. She had already been admitted to UT undergrad, amongst 20 other schools.
The 17-year-old cheerleader and student council president passed away in October. Her family's lawyers now announcing her cause of death. They say it was an enlarged heart because of excessive caffeine consumption.
Medical examiner did not say in her report that she died because she drank caffeine that day. It's because the continuous drinking of caffeine.
They said in the year leading up to her death, she had picked up a habit of drinking Alani New energy drinks. The drinks became such a part of her life that even her homecoming proposal was Alani themed. While the cans do have a label that says the drink is not recommended for children, the lawsuit claims the drinks were defectively designed, marketed, and had inadequate warnings about the serious cardiac risks.
Defectively designed?
Yes, that's what they say.
Okay.
That excessive caffeine can cause.
There's no warnings. There's nothing on there that says, hey, if you drink this, you're going to be overstimulating your heart.
Glazer's Beer and Beverage, the company that distributed the drink to the store where Larissa would buy them, has been named a defendant in the lawsuit.
They're the ones that receive it, distribute it, and put it all over the place. And they also failed to give any warnings.
Larissa's mother said that while she knew energy drinks weren't good for her daughter, she had no idea of just how bad they could be. Now she's hoping other parents will think twice before allowing their kids the drinks.
I just hope that, I hope that people out there at least are aware now. And, she'll probably save some lives.
We did reach out to Glazer's Beer and Beverage, but they haven't gotten back to us. The Alani New energy drink is 12 fluid ounces. It contains 200 milligrams of caffeine.
200.
Put that in perspective, the total daily maximum amount of caffeine for adults recommended by the FDA is 400 milligrams. The children and teenagers aged 12 to 17 should be taking less than 100 milligrams a day, according to doctors.
Okay. I didn't know it was 400. That's pretty. That's actually kind of funny because,
4 cups of coffee.
Is that 400? Is it 100 milligrams per cup?
Yeah.
So I used to drink coffee like all day long. Like I liked it, and then I started, and this is again not just hey go buy Gigawatt. I started drinking a single double shot of Gigawatt espresso every morning. I brew it myself. It's great. And I think that I just looked it up. Traditionally, it's about 150 milligrams of caffeine, and that's all I need for the whole day. And I didn't even have one today. So, had a meeting, or I had a dentist appointment this morning. No cavities. It's a flex.
Okay, I was wondering what the purpose of the dentist.
But yeah, I don't know. To sue the person that sold it to the store, that distributed it to the store, as opposed to the company that made it. I don't know. Just seems,
they're listed as a defendant.
Yeah, it just seems like
so they're just suing everybody.
An unhealthy 17-year-old died, and they pointed to the nearest thing they could think of. It was those damn things she likes so much.
Yes.
The age of responsibility is over. Remember McDonald's lawsuit? The coffee spilled on the old lady's lap.
Yes, the hot coffee.
Yeah. Well, I had no idea that the coffee was hot. That's usually not how I take my coffee. Dumb.
I have one more clip, and in the show notes, I have something you might find interesting. The one I have linked specifically is the Gang Maps product.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just Google pins for different gang territories, which I thought it was entertaining to look around. But the clip I have has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to mention it. The clip I have is out of Canada, and I've termed a new phrase for these people. And, of course, they're in America too, but this one just happens to be Canadian. This is an update on our fellow citizens, the acronym rods.
Okay. Here we go.
When the budget was released, I was shocked to find out that Prime Minister Carney is cutting $7 billion between Indigenous Services Canada and Crown Indigenous Relations. They provided $0 to deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
That last acronym is insane. I like the acronym rods. I get it now.
With the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2S LGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
It's like a radio call sign.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
Sounds like you glitch out. You know, at a certain point, okay, you know, you get too many letters in there. And I realize the point of this is you belong in this group. And they start off with LGBT. Well, they start off with LG, okay? Basically, no one gave a B's weren't a thing yet, and they're still not a thing. They're a myth. As you know, my long-standing stance is bisexuals are just gays afraid of commitment.
Yes.
Then the T's came, and then all the other letters were like, well, we want to be represented too. And then the iteration of 50 flags. It's a snake eating its own tail. And the whole world said, you know what? Gays are fine, lesbians are fine, sure, bisexuals, you're great. And then they tried to shove trannies down our throat, and we slammed the door shut, and we said, no, none of this. We're done. We're done now. You can't be a woman. That's just too far. But Canada didn't have that. Canada didn't have that pushback, and this is what happens now. You have that. Whatever the hell that was is what you have.
Yeah, whatever that was. Acronymrods.
Acronymrods. I like it. It is. I think it'll appeal to our older listeners. Acronymrods.
Yes, it will.
But it's funny. It's good. Job well done. I don't think I have anything worth playing. I thought I had pulled one fun one, but I can't find it now. So it must not have been that fun. I had one about there's fear-mongering over Chernobyl. This is kind of a throwaway piece. But Chevron's doing an asset swap in Venezuela, which I thought was kind of interesting. They're buying an oil field in inland Venezuela in exchange for turning over a drill site off the coast of Venezuela. So an oil rig. And then, yeah,
okay.
I had... that's it.
I was just going to say that is interesting, and that they're probably doing whatever they want to.
Chevron, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I will play this clip just because we talked about how we didn't replace the Maduro regime. It's very much intact, and like pretty much all the talking points that they were saying about Venezuela were wrong, and ironically, they are correct in the context of Iran. Like, yeah, we killed the old guy, and now these other groups have moved in, and they're just the same. Delcy Rodriguez, just by this clip alone, I'm certain that she was the insider that we talked to, and she is making good on the U.S.
president.
relationships. I mean, without a doubt, it is this clip right here that seals the deal for me in my mind 100%.
This exchange agreement between an asset from a gas field license and an oil field Ayacucho 8, which will be added to Petropier's production, will allow us to make important advances in production and ensure that the income from that production goes directly to the benefit of the Venezuelan people, and that it is a shared benefit for the peoples of the United States and Venezuela. I congratulate everyone on the signing of this agreement. We spent days in negotiations, but today we can show this signing as an example of perseverance, an example of commitment, and an example that there are legal paths under the new regulatory framework. You have highlighted legal paths in our country so that investments feel secure and can have a prosperous future. So congratulations to all who have taken part in this extraordinary negotiation, which today reaches its signing.
All right, that's enough. Yeah. Talking about benefiting the American people, that was not in the previous leader's lexicon. Maduro.
No.
So yeah, set up, in and out. We should have had somebody on the ground in Iran. That was Trump's mistake there. But interesting. Acronymrods. I like that. I like it a lot. Let's get out of here, shall we?
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun show.
As did I.
We took the morsels of recycled news stories that have been going on. I think we took like that last week was the best week to be off. Nothing happened. I mean, stuff happened, but it wasn't that interesting.
It wasn't as major.
Well, I felt like the weeks prior we had just been, everyone has been ruminating on and regurgitating Iran. And no one wants to listen to 3 hours of that repeatedly. I don't know.
Well, some do, but they're not our audience.
That's true. It's amazing. We can sometimes make miracles out of bad news weeks. Just to have fun. And I think some of our best shows are when nothing happens because we just kind of riff on stuff and it's fun. We put out more of our, I think, ideology, and it's not like the traditional ideology. It's our kind of our goofy ideology on stuff and how we think stuff works, and I think that's appealing to people. Again, I have gotten more positive feedback when I suggest we should do a second show of us just kind of talking about nothing, a show about nothing. People are like, yeah, do that. People want us to take our pre-show conversations and put that into a podcast.
Yeah, but I'm still employed.
Same.
So tune in early.
That's right. Come early, come often. And if you want a tax break, come inside. Too much?
No.
Very good.
Accurate.
That's right. From St. Louis, Missouri, I have been Dan Gehring.
And I've been John G. Dew.
And we will be back next Tuesday to let you know what's going on. Until that time, make sure your slide is well oiled. I really like Milspec 25. It's a great lubricant for pistols, especially on the rail slides. Nice and buttery. See you next Tuesday. MMO out. Yeah. All right. That was a podcast. Pretty good. Minimal tech disturbances this week. One crispy. And I think the only thing we need to do is change out that aux cord. Once we do the aux cord, I think we're systems are free.
Oh, I'll get right on that.
I'm going to send you that. I'm going to send you a silent clicking mouse. If we get you a new aux cord and a silent clicking mouse, we will be CNN. But, better.
Better. Better. I actually have one. And I just haven't gotten it out of the drawer. And I think I have another cord too.
For the love of God, man. Help me out here.
Okay, I will right now, as if we can produce this thing and get out of here, I'll go get the cord and I'll make the mouse more available for next time.
Perfect. Yeah, that I don't know why I said Milspec 25. It's TW25B is the lubricant I was referring to. I just bought it. I could have sworn it said Milspec on the tube, but I just picked it up and it doesn't.
Well, it may be Milspec.
I mean, what does that even mean, dude? I think companies just put that on there and say it's military specifications for lubricant, and it's like, oh, cool. Guess what? My tongue is military specifications for tongues.
Ew.
I got a military tongue. All right, title list. Oh my God, I can't believe I brought it up in the pre-show. I said, I didn't even point it out when she said it. Sigh of release.
Oh, no, you didn't, and I forgot about it.
Oh, here it is, just for the
He succeeds Victor. This government is proud to have a direct emergency.
An election up. What do we know about the incoming prime minister, Peter?
Yeah, a real reality check, I think, for people around the world who are celebrating this or looking at the headlines with some relief. Heading into the wee hours last night, of course, is a staunch conservative. He was with some relief. He is a staunch voted for Peter Mojjar, who were celebrating, and most of the voters who were interviewed that we listened to said that their vote was driven by Hungary's relationship with Russia. For further proof this morning, Joe, the currency in Hungary surged this morning to a 4-year high against the euro. So good news for a lot of Hungarians.
I don't even remember where it is now, but she says sigh of release, and I was like, ooh. I thought it was funny. I thought that would be funny with the Hank Hill, just
yeah.
Jesus Trump, Dr. Trump, Millennial Math Offensive, Millennial Math Hour, Fleshhold, IRS Fleshhold, get the boomers off social media, firing rocks, critical window, look at this, tongue speaker, later retard, Bible, defectively designed, Age of Responsibility, and Acro Nimrods, which I think is a pretty strong one.
Yeah, I think it is.
To you, like she was just hitting words that she thought would be popular?
Well, she has a very polished pitch.
I wouldn't call what that was polished.
The pitch is polished, but her presentation maybe not so much.
Right. It really made it sound like she was like, Bible, God,
Bible. Put a marker down for an intro if we don't have one.
Sensitive information.
Stop playing noise. It really made it sound like she was like, Bible, God,
Bible. Put a marker
About
down
the other,
for an intro if we don't have one.
Sorry.
Her
made it sound like Bible, God, like that. Bible, Bible, God. Yes, no, maybe so. John G. Do.
Yes, what?
Bible, God.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm looking at Isobot.
Mil spec. I really want to get a 9mm, I guess, AR pistol that can fit FRT and have the 3 select mode. FRTs are sick and the coolest loophole that's ever been invented. You effectively get a machine gun legally. And like all the gun ranges are like, yes, you can bring your FRT here. Have you ever been to a gun range where somebody has an FRT? It's a forced reset trigger, which effectively means while you're firing, if you hold your trigger down, it keeps firing, and it sounds like a frickin' machine gun, and it's amazing. Ned has an FRT for his 80% build. That's awesome. Especially in Detroit. You might actually need that. All right, somebody hearted us on YouTube.